The land that would become Florida once belonged to a diverse group of indigenous peoples. The Timucua farmed the lands in North Florida. The homeland of the Appalachians extended east to west from the Ocilla River to the Ochlockonee River, which got its name from the Hichi language once spoken there. The Ayas people's land stretched from the Florida Keys to what is now St. Augustine, a destination we visit in Friday's show. Just to the south, the Yega lived in what is now Palm Beach County. Tocobega people lived on the Gulf side of the state, near what we call Tampa today. The Taino people, indigenous to the Caribbean, also live in Florida.
The land that came to be called Miami was named after the Miami people. Miami-Dade County, as well as other lands we speak about in the show, was taken from indigenous people by Spaniards and settlers. These stolen lands were then given to Henry Flagler and others to bring a railroad to South Florida. This land, however, is the homeland of the Seminole, Miami, and Tequesta people who hunted, gathered, and lived in what would become Florida for generations, long before it was settled by Europeans and those from northern states.
The Seminole people fought 3 wars to protect themselves and their land from white exploitation and settlement. Sam Jones led a small band of Seminoles who stayed hidden in the Big Cypress Swamp. Of the approximately 3,500 Seminoles in Florida today, many are descendants of this small band. The indigenous people of Florida make innumerable contributions to our state, and we acknowledge their presence and legacy here. We thank them for taking care of this land long before colonizers arrived, and for continuing to do so. We could not tell her stories without them. For more information on their legacy, please see the links in our playbill.
The soft coos of egrets and the chirps of cicadas serenaded the Everglades in the early morning hours. Their music of serenity was disrupted by the sounds of muskets firing and the crack of cannons that could be heard miles away like a distant thunder. The U.S. Army scouting parties had just destroyed a Seminole camp full of families this crisp December morning. In retaliation for killing his people, Chief Billy Bowlegs, a Seminole leader and warrior, strategically coordinated a raid near Fort Myers. This deadly attack set off many skirmishes and raids between the Seminoles and the U.S. Army. The main goal for the Army was to capture all of the Seminoles and send them to Oklahoma. And the main goal of the Seminoles was to survive and to fight to stay on their ancestral land. Many lives were lost during the Seminole Wars, and many of those lives were of Seminole women and children. Besides the threat of getting captured to be sent to Oklahoma and or possibly killed, there was also the menacing thought of being raped by the U.S. soldiers. These were the dangers that loomed over a young Seminole mother and her 2 young girls as they ran quietly in the early morning hours. They had been running for miles in the dark Everglades already. The sunrise was coming, making the skies look bruised. With each step they took, they hoped it gave them a safe distance from the encroaching U.S. Army. As they ran, the young Seminole girl named Miami desperately pumped her tired legs to keep up. Her heart was beating wildly, and with each breath she took, her lungs felt like they were on fire. She was tired, but her little legs carried her as fast as they could. She was between the ages of 4 and 6 years old. Miami was running from the U.S. soldiers with her mother and sister to hide further into the deep Florida Everglades. It was the Third Seminole War. As Miami grew up during a volatile time as a child, she volunteered to be a scout. She would climb oak trees and sit silently. Miami would wait to catch a glimpse of the U.S. Army and then run back to Seminole warriors or Seminole families with her information. Her actions helped to keep her people free from capture by the U.S. soldiers. Years after the Third Seminole War came to a close in 1858, Miami started her own family. She lived a full life and well beyond her years. Her story is not written in history books as many Seminole heroines, but it is remembered and passed on through her family. Her survival kept her family lineage alive, and with her unconquerable heart, she became a part of the many heroic Seminoles who were determined to keep their people free.
Mother, will you stand still? The photo will be blurry if you move.
You're not behind the camera yet.
No, but you will have to be very still.
Well, I hate this.
We need one good photo of you.
Why?
I've explained this to you.
I know him in Cleveland for years. You think Henry cares what I look like now?
I do. He has to know you're serious about your offer.
I'm serious. I'm a businesswoman. Besides, he saw me in person a few years ago. I haven't aged that much.
It's just a good reminder that you exist. And men like Mr. Flagler get hundreds of offers. It'll make him keep you in mind.
Sounds like I'm offering him more than land for my railroad.
Must you always be crude?
You're the one pushing my photo so he remembers me.
I'm not pushing you. It'll be kind of a business card for you. For a woman in business.
I don't need a business card. He doesn't need a photo. I just have to get Henry down here to see this place again.
It may be difficult. The weather is terrible up there.
Good. It's beautiful down here. Sunny and warm.
They're having a freeze.
Very good.
Why?
He won't be able to get out.
So you're stuck.
No, that may be good news.
Why?
If they lose all the groves to a freeze, he might be willing to consider extending the railroad south to us. Start more groves and farming down here. Perfect.
Is that all you think about? Getting the railroad down here?
It will change everything. Business, international visitors, vacationers, gateway to South America.
Mother, don't create a fantasy. Now stand where I told you. If you'd stand still long enough, we'd have a good photo.
And what will Henry do with it? He'll think I'm a hussy sending my photo.
He knows you're not. You're a businesswoman and a good one.
Well, he turned me down the first time. What makes you think he'll agree this time?
Because I told you, it's freezing up there. The orange groves just north of Palm Beach are freezing. Well, he's a smart businessman. As you said, he'll see the benefits of bringing his railroad down here and creating groves.
I want him to.
What will you get out of it, Mother?
I'm not sure, but if there are more people, they will need services, and I'll provide them. I see it as a trade-off.
What?
I'll give Henry some of my acreage for the railroad. I'll convince the Brickles to do the same.
Give him your land.
For a purpose, to enlarge this area. It will become an important city, I know it. We just need the railroad.
Don't give your land away. Father left you in a mess when he died. Mortgage to the hilt. Don't get in that position again.
We did all right. It wasn't so bad.
Of course it was. No money, a lot of debt. Do you want to go through that all over again? That's what'll happen if you give away all your land.
I won't give him all my land.
When Father died, you went from being a rich, educated woman to a drudge running a boarding house in Ohio just to keep the family together.
It may seem strange to you, Fanny, but ever since I moved down here, it has been my dream to see this wilderness turned into a prosperous city.
Why do you have to do it?
I don't have to. But if we can get the railroad down here, the population will grow, probably to over 100,000 people.
I like the way it is, Mother.
I know you do. But we need services here, and only people and the railroad will help us get them.
I guess.
You have to admit, the mild climate has helped you.
I wasn't sick.
You weren't well.
All right, have it your way.
I need Henry to know it is warm down here.
Send him some orange blossoms.
What?
Send him some fresh orange blossoms so that he can see for himself the weather is warmer in South Florida. We're below the frost line.
You are brilliant.
Here's what we'll do. We'll send him some orange blossoms and a picture postcard of a grove. We'll make it look so warm and inviting. He won't be able to resist.
And you can take pictures of the water and tropical trees.
And pictures of the businesses that have already opened here. Make it seem as if we're already flourishing.
And we are, Fanny. We already have a hotel. We need to make it easy for people to get down here to enjoy the warm weather when it is winter in the north.
You sound like an advertisement for selling, I don't know, ladies' swimsuits.
Good. That's good. We live in a time where women have to be inventive if they want to get anything done. If it means paying off Henry to get what I want, then so be it.
You mean let him think he's helping out a poor, helpless female?
I'll play that part if I have to. That's just the way it is. If this is the path I have to go down, I'll take it. That doesn't make me feel like any less of a businesswoman.
It can make your dreams come true. I get it. I hope we will eventually be able to have more rights, be able to do business the way men do.
Probably not in my lifetime. You work on it for me.
I will. Okay, I'm ready. Stand still.
You know what is going to happen to this photo? Nothing.
We'll send one to Henry. And I want a print too. to remember you by?
Otherwise, you'll forget me? What, am I dying?
Not at all. You're being ridiculous. It's the thing to do. Photographs for the family and friends. The new portraits.
The thing to do. In a few years, no one will know or care about me. I'll be forgotten. My name will mean nothing.
That won't happen.
How can you be so sure? The only thing left will be a picture of some unknown woman looking miserable in a black dress because her daughter insisted on taking a photo.
Your dress is blue.
It will look black in the photo. Why do this? You won't want to keep it after I'm gone.
Mother.
If you have any children ever, they won't want to keep it either. I'll be hung on a wall somehow, somewhere until I'm faded, or in some dark corner where I'll just be forgotten and no one can see me.
Drama, Mother. Drama.
And after that, I'll lie in a box somewhere until some future relative puts me out in the trash or gives me away along with other forgotten things they found in the attic.
Mother, please.
Please, what? The next thing you'll know, it will become fashionable to collect old photos.
Don't be silly.
You'll see. I'll end up in some collection somewhere, hanging on a wall with other old things. They'll call it Jasper's Country Corner or something like that, and thinking they're so clever. I'll have to stare out at people eating their breakfast until the end of time. I don't want to end up somewhere where nobody knows me. Really, why take a photo at all?
Because when the city is long established, they'll need to know what you looked like so they can build a statue of you right in the middle of town.
Don't be silly. Why would they do that?
Because if you succeed in bringing the railroad down here, you'll be considered the creator of this area.
I think this area needs a new name.
You don't like Fort Dallas?
No, I think it should be named for the river.
Miami. An Indian name.
Yes, it has a nice ring to it.
I like it. Then hereafter, you'll be called the Mother of Miami.
Now who's being silly?
Stand still. I'm ready. Now, don't move.
Oh, we don't want a blurry photo of the Mother of Miami hanging down from a restaurant wall.
Just smile with your mouth closed, and we'll get a good photo.
That's a smirk. Here goes.
Hold it. Hold it. A little more. Now let me change the plate and we'll take another.
One is enough. Blurry or not, that's the way I'll look from now on. A frumpy older woman.
Let's do one for the diners then. Get your I'm staring down at you while you're eating your pancakes look. Hold it.
The feeling that you ought to go. Did you ever have the feeling that you ought to stay? Well, I know a man who's gonna have the last say. Who else but the weatherman?
And here's the latest weather report.
Hurricane Hazel, nicknamed
Hell hath no fury, merely winks at Florida, then rips into Calabash, North Carolina, dealing a devastating blow to residents who are being urged to evacuate as soon.
I don't care! You can't stop me! I am going to work!
Goddamn bitch, young Griff. You're not working, not while you live in this house.
Then I'm out!
You're out, are you? We'll see about that.
Don't you take another step towards me!
You damn wildcat. Not fit to be my wife or mother.
Nobody is going to tell Roxy O'Neill how to act. You knew me when you married me. Don't ask me to stay at home forever. Work is inspiring. Your family's gin-infested gossip fests are not. Yes, I'm a mother, but I'm also an active human being. The better for my kids. They see me and they learn. No, ma'am. I've gotta do something. I'm expected to stay home and what? Swallow my pride, my personality, my future. Drinking, fighting, threats. Can all just fade away. I am a world changer.
While the cameramen are setting up, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to interview you today.
Well, I haven't seen you before. What's your name?
I'm Veronica Garrett. I do news at noon.
Okay.
That's probably why you haven't seen me. Unless you watch TV at that time. But you're probably too busy for that. And I'm new. Okay, I'm going to introduce you and then we'll start the interview, all right?
Okay.
Hello, I'm Veronica Garrett here in Miami with Roxy O'Neill Bolton in her Coral Gables home. Mrs. Bolton moved to Florida from Mississippi right after high school and has been stirring up trouble ever since. But for women concerned with their rights, it's a welcome kind of trouble. Co-founder of the Florida chapter of the National Organization for Women.
Known to friends and foes alike as NOW.
Bolton conducts almost all her activities right here at home.
In between tending to my family's needs.
Mrs. Bolton, you've actively fought for women's rights for about 10 years now. I'd like to know, who's your inspiration?
Well, through all the hard times raising Randall on my own, far from family, I heard the words of Eleanor Roosevelt. Young people must not lean on their tradition. They must be proud of it while taking into account the advice of the elders and having the courage to look ahead toward new solutions. That's what I'm doing.
What are you at the NOW organization hoping to achieve?
Well, our first goal is to get the Equal Rights Amendment passed. It, among other things, would allow women to be paid the same rate as men for the same work. Now, wouldn't that be something?
Well, I agree, Mrs. Bolton. It'd also be nice if they were allowed to do the same work.
How true. Another of our goals is to ensure that all women, no matter what they do, are free to access a path of their own choosing and create new opportunities without being punished socially for it. How is it working as a reporter, Miss Garrett?
Well, I do like my job. Some people say that women in the NOW group hate men. Any truth in that?
Well, that's ridiculous. My first marriage ended, but David Bolton, my current husband, supports everything I do. We both support the family. We don't hate men. We just want to be listened to. It's high time women have the same opportunities.
Some people say
that women don't do the know-how to do certain types of jobs.
That's all in the education and training. Don't get me started on the Ivies. They're a boys' club. Harvard has been open to women for a good piece, but Yale, finally in 1969, is getting co-ed classes. Where did you go to school, if you don't mind my asking?
Florida State is my alma mater.
Oh, well, you can be proud of that. FSU has had co-ed classes since 1947. Is that right?
You're well informed, Mrs. Bolton. It's also had racially mixed enrollment since 1963. I've heard that you're lobbying to stop employers from firing pregnant women. Can you talk about that?
Take airline stewardesses, for example. Bumped from their jobs the minute they show. Compare that to the hostess image, right? Tight little uniform, bright red lipstick, high heels, perennially single, even when married. Mothers? Forget about it.
And yet I suppose being a stewardess is one of the few ways women can travel independently.
Well, I hope it's worth the humiliation of being fired just because you want both a job and a family.
And there she is, Miami's champion for women's rights, Mrs. Roxy O'Neill Bolton. Thank you, Mrs. Bolton.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
I'm Veronica Garrett, signing off.
Now, we'll have to have us some coffee because I want to talk, but first I want to see what's going on with this cane brewing offshore.
Edith's wrathful storm surge strikes a death-dealing blow in Nicaragua, then swipes into South Texas, damaging homes, injuring people, and continuing to...
Now, what in the name of, why are these hurricanes always named after women? In general, men are far more violent. Now, I really do want to hear about your work situation. Let's talk.
My work situation is fine. I'm doing what I want to do.
You wanted to do this interview?
I was given the assignment.
Because the men wouldn't touch it, right?
Well, they feel a little threatened.
Of course. They're afraid I'll pull their pants down. Come on, it's just you and me now, so.
Well, it is a bit annoying when they ask me to make coffee.
And do you?
No. I usually just wait somewhere until starting time.
Oh, well, that can't be comfortable.
Beats being mistaken for their mom/maid. But I'm really okay.
If you say so. Excuse me. Hello, Mrs. Roxy O'Neill Bolton. He did what? Oh, Claudia, dear, you have to get to the police. The officer said what? But did you tell him he was separated? I see. Well, what about the doctor? How could you exaggerate something like that? Doesn't matter if you are married to... He forced himself on you. Claudia, there must be something we can... Of course you can. No, David won't mind. Come right over. Okay. Come over. Sorry, a friend of mine.
I couldn't help but hear. I've heard of cases where the husbands track the wives down. Does he know where you live?
You got a good point. I just can't think of any place that would be completely safe. That's it. I'm calling the mayor. I just have to do something.
Go right ahead.
Yes, I'd like to speak to the mayor, please. This is Roxy O'Neill Bolton. The hurricane meeting. Will you tell him this is an emergency? Thank you. Oh, hello, Mayor Frey. How's Maria? Great. Give her my love. What's the emergency? Well, Mr. Mayor, would you allow any man, even your father, to violate your mother? No, I'm not being facetious. I'm being blunt. Most rapes in this state go unreported. Women are made to feel ashamed. They are not the attackers. What I want is for you to get me in contact with the Jackson Memorial Board member, or 3. Let the board members know you're in favor of treatment for abuse, because you are, right? I'll remind you soon. Okay, to avoid that, just get me those board members. What for? I'm going to start some kind of safe place for women. Yes, at the hospital. Well, that's great. See what you can do, Mr. Mayor. Bye now.
Mrs. Bolton.
Call me Roxy.
Roxy, I'm gonna report on this. And on the evening news.
It's not instant. We're marching against rape tomorrow on Flagler Street. Are you in, Miss Garrett?
Call me Veronica. I'm gonna ask if I can cover it. This is the evening news, March 21st, 1974. Today, thanks to Roxy Bolton, a local feminist, a rape crisis center was opened at Jackson Memorial Hospital, the first of its kind in the nation. This historical event.
Sorry to interrupt, Veronica. We have breaking weather news. So Donna slashes viciously up from the Caribbean into Florida, flirting with the East Coast, tearing into a number of the islands that surround the East Coast. A number of these islands continue to be affected by this.
Now, wait a minute.
Residents who have not evacuated are being urged to stay indoors, away from Donna's destructive path.
Stop! I'm talking to you.
On the west, Donna swerves viciously.
What's the name of that hurricane?
What's your problem, lady?
The name's Roxy. I just wanted to get your attention. Stop naming hurricanes after women. I know. What about naming him Don or the Hurricane?
What?
That was a joke. Here's a better idea. You've got to name them after politicians. Like Hurricane Goldwater slams over Tennessee, wreaks havoc through the South.
Come on, lady. That's unfair to Mr. Goldwater.
I see. But it's okay to make women seem angry and violent and dangerously sexy at the same time?
What's wrong with that? Hurricanes are just scary if they're named after women, that's all.
That makes no sense.
What's the holdup?
This lady's bothering me.
The name's Roxy.
What's your problem with the way we name hurricanes?
What's a hurricane like, Mr. Weatherman?
Bob. It's a violent, raging tunnel of wind.
And only women are like that? Do you feel like that, Veronica?
Only around Weatherman Bob here.
Are you on the rag, Veronica?
You are sickening. You know I'm pregnant, right?
Well, there goes your career down the drain.
No, more like the completion of my life. I'll come back better and stronger.
If they let you back.
Do you have kids, Bob?
Sure, 2 of them.
Did they ruin your career?
No, but I'm a man. I don't have to bear children.
So what do you have to do? Support them or not?
Now, wait a minute, lady. I support my wife and my kids.
They support you.
My wife and my kids support me? I don't think so.
Who? I in that shirt you're wearing.
Who packs your lunches? You put little notes in your lunchbox? Ugh, gross.
Now, wait a minute. I love my lunchbox notes.
Before or after you make fun of them with the boys and throw them in the trash? Yeah, I see how you support your wife.
Can't be a wimp.
Heaven forbid you should show some feeling.
My first husband was like you. Never could be vulnerable. Those bottled up feelings just made him violent, like the hurricanes you're describing.
Come on, what do you ladies want?
We want to be treated with respect and decency. We deeply resent being associated with disaster. Women create life. Veronica's creating life in her body right now.
Hurricanes wipe out lives, so not us.
Given the fact that we are 50% of the population, why are we 100% of the hurricanes?
And 100% unnoticed.
I noticed your legs, Veronica.
Ew, gross.
Disgusting.
What? It's a compliment.
Okay, I noticed you have a face by staring at it. I don't make comments about your physical attributes. When's the last time someone said something about your body?
My wife. Last night.
Is Veronica your wife?
No.
Then maybe don't comment on my body or my bodily functions, Bob.
Yeah, you never minded before. What changed, Veronica?
I've always minded when you and your group of boys stare me down, make your dumb comments. I just keep walking. What would happen if I stirred the waters? Would I get more assignments? No. I can't even wear slacks. I'm required to wear dresses just so you can ogle my legs. Well, I'm done. Now I see if I don't make waves like a hurricane, nothing will ever happen. I'll still have to put up with your crap. Well, I'm done.
Well, I never knew you felt that way.
Just help us change this one thing. No more acting like crazy storms or women.
I gotta go back to my report, but I'll think about it.
You do that, Bob.
Yes, ma'am. Meanwhile, an overwater passage rips into the Jersey Shore, wreaking havoc on each of the northeastern states that continue to see the effects of this terrible.
It's been such a pleasure to have you on, Mrs. Bolton. It's been a couple of years since we last spoke.
That's right. It was 1977.
One last question. You tend to rile up a lot of people. Do you do that on purpose?
People always ask why I'm not in politics. It's simple. I have no tolerance for playing games. I tell it like it is. I couldn't do that if I ran for office. I'm not trying to upset people, but the truth is disturbing.
On the other hand, a lot of people fight back, partly because of your public actions. Thank you, Mrs. Bolton. And that's it for Women in the News. I'm Veronica Garrett, signing off.
It must feel good to be in a pantsuit.
Oh, it's pretty cool to be able to cover up the legs. Now, on for equal pay.
Well, you let me know if I can help, all right?
You're my inspiration, Roxy.
Wow.
Thank you. By the way, I think you might want to turn on the TV. Something you might want to see.
Well, folks, this is historical. The storm brewing in the Atlantic Ocean goes by the name of Bob. That should make some feminist folk very happy. Yes, we're naming hurricanes after both men and women now, starting now. And we have our own local Roxy O'Neill Bolton to thank for that.
My name is Zorina Exie Frey, and I am going to read 2 poems for you today. The first one will be entitled Black Cinderella, and the second one will be entitled A Colored Girl's Creed. Both of them have been published in my book entitled Don't Mind Being Black. Well, actually, I co-authored it with Jake Webster, a great sculptor in Elkhart, Indiana. You really should check him out. So I am going to just jump right into it. And here we go. Black Cinderella. I hold my head in defeat. Sometimes it's hard to breathe. It feels like I'm being squeezed, surrounded by a heartless party. They don't care because they're not concerned. They're not concerned because they're above the tax bracket or light enough to pass. I am neither. I have to care. I can't hide or blend in. I am them. I am the them they hate. I am the handout. I am the charity. I've lived in poverty. My winters were warmed with kerosene heat. I stood in line with my mama for free cheese. They say she didn't work enough, that she sat on her butt. The truth is, she worked so much, I didn't see her enough. I grew up on food stamps, powdered milk thanks to WIC. My free school lunch was punched on a blue ticket I quickly stuffed away. My clothes were on Kmart layaway. I really don't want a handout. I just want help. I'm not asking for anything free. I'm just in need. It wasn't always easy for me. The system isn't designed to be. My black face isn't painted on good enough. Not all of us can tap dance quick enough. My answer must be a new age. Yes, sir, or no, sir, or some hostile. Liberal, crazy, too far left. I have to reject who I really am to melt in the pot, but they do not. Any pride in my identity will be threatening. And to reach that pay grade, I must say what they want to hear. Be like Lee Daniels, the butler. Put on my white suit, serve, and shut the fuck up. The Cinderella of America, sweeping up ashes of skeletons in the closet, step siblings cash out on our deposit, shining like the belle of the ball. But I will ring the bell to tell, remind, and proclaim that even when the pumpkin takes the stage coach and little rats run all about it, we have to accept that we are all part of it. For some parties, we'll always be that N-word. Meanwhile, always trying to slip into our glass slipper. Yeah, any writer will know that, a work, written work is never really truly done. There's always some editing to do. And so I say that because I can't remember the original inspiration for that poem. And I usually can, but like I said, just so many things have happened that just call for a new version of it. Now, this next poem, I do remember exactly what inspired me to write this. And this is when I had saw the movie entitled Color Girls. And I was told that I saw the Tyler Perry version, which I'm told I did a discredit to the actual play. Nonetheless, this is the poem that I wrote based off of watching that movie. And along with some other things that was going on in my life. And that'll be self-explanatory as I continue in this poem. So here we go, A Colored Girl's Creed. Excuse me as I borrow from the colored girl's creed. The fact that I'm happy makes you sad. Your anger toward my happiness makes me indignant. I hear your nasty words even though you didn't say it. I'm not speaking in metaphors, I'm speaking to you in English. I'm speaking plainly because I am pissed. I'm pissed because my happiness makes you mad. I'm indignant because my sisters are acting ignorant. I wish they'd repent. All of them aren't colored either. Remember, we're supposed to be our brother's keeper. Because of the shortage of men, we stab each other in the back. Grim Reaper, forget that dude. You can keep him. But it's not all about a man. It's about resenting each other and the nasty competition we get under. Excuse me as I borrow from the colored girl's sorrow. And they wonder why Black women have attitudes. For centuries, women have always upstaged one another by holding the better position, better clothes, better status, more money. She's respected, but you can't upstage beauty, skills, humility, and ideals. Those gifts are given, never taken, often imitated, never duplicated. I'm Black. In some regions, there's minimal room for that. Besides, there aren't too many people who enjoy submitting to Black leadership. Only a select few are still handpicked. Excuse me as I dip into the colored girl's script. Blackness. Some try to get away from it. I embrace it. I'm not a racist. I'm a realist. I speak of what I know. I speak of what I see. Harsh words often reflect a harsh reality, and I refuse to pop a few pills to make me see differently. I am conscious of an inner strength within me. And to flip the scenery, parts of my family are not of my color or culture, but they have embraced me more than some of my so-called brothers and sisters. So with a double-edged sword, I've been cut, and with it I speak. Excuse me while I borrow from the colored girl's creed. Dealing with my life, but apologizing for my plight. I guess I'm supposed to pretend like none of it happened and be all right. The consequences. This mentally taught me how to control my emotions. This mentally suited me up to stand against opposing motions. Still, I'm supposed to get over it. Heck, I jumped, cartwheeled, and catapult continuously because every now and again I'll have some insecure person testing me. So, as long as there are bitter individuals who criticize and hate, I will forever be that indignant Black woman you love to hate. Thank you for listening. Both of those poems can be purchased in the publication entitled Don't Mind Being Black, co-authored with Jake Webster.
The storm is not letting up. Each year I feel the storms become more violent, almost as if they were enraged by our presence. Oh, thank goodness she's arrived safely.
Mary Brickle is a force of nature. No storm is going to keep her from her travels. No, sir. Is Julia in the carriage?
No. Perhaps Julia made the trip separately.
Well, her daughter has been unwell as of late. After losing Mr. Tuttle, no one should have to endure such heartache.
Well, Flora, have faith. As surely as the sun rises and sets, all shall be well. God only gives us what he knows we can endure.
Oh, what a delightful day! Flora, Bella, it has been far too long since I last visited Peacock Inn and my darling friends.
Well, let me get your coat and...
Oh, yes, my baby orange tree. Be gentle. It holds our future in its soil.
Well, Mary, are you working on a new poem? I do love your theater nights. We must have another one soon.
All in good time, lovelies. Give me time to settle in before I tell you all the glorious news.
Well, it wouldn't be the same without some theatrics from our Mary. Where's Julia? She wrote that she would be attending a little meeting today.
Well, the water is getting a little rough for her to take the boat from Jack's Bight. Oh, no, sir. We thought she would travel with you from your home.
Jules sends her regards. She's safe at home. Although I do believe she would have braved these waters all on her own just to make the travels a challenge. It's news of her that I bring. But alas, all in good time.
Well, you speak in riddles, and you know I solve riddles. Ladies, what say you I make up some beds so you can stay until the morning? The inn has been deserted since the great frost last year. 2 years of this blight has left everyone distraught. Polite company would be most welcome.
Well, I did ask for this storm just for this reason. It is decided you must stay.
Well, you'll not hear any opposition from my lips. Even though a storm is raging outside, I know this place will hold more peace than at my home. William is on the brink of tragedy with no new business investors this year. But fortune shines on those who wait.
If only they could see how rich our resources are in the middle of this blasted frost. They would take notice faster than you could say the M.I. in Miami. Remember that letter Julia wrote to friend Henry Flagler last year? Yeah. He has no faith in her judgments and no money to invest in such a risky venture.
Well, he's a scared little pup is what he is. No, we really do need that train. How easily Julia could take her daughter to the hospital if only we had the train.
Chivalry is dead. Mary and Julia both offered him land for the train and still nothing.
And we're left alone to build the great city of Miami. It is an endless battle.
Agnes, in every letter, says, "Now I'm off to live in your swamp." My traveling friends think I have lost my mind.
Your sister would rather always stayed home. God forbid her boots get dusty.
Well, she would come out of her home quick enough for an invitation to a ball.
"'Tis only the music of nature. We would have some of the finest champagne I ever did taste at our ball. Ella, where did you get this angel vintage?"
My cousin in France has a vineyard. I'm never without. I do love my family. I'm sorely missed. It's been ages since I visited them in England.
Family is everything. Whilst I visited my aunt in Australia, we would make wine from fruits in her garden. Bella, I just had the grandest idea.
Another grand idea. Your last grand idea at your last ball left us stranded in the middle of a bay on a boat with a hole.
True. We did have one wondrous evening that will never be forgotten.
Well, my only question, Mary, is will this grand idea influence Mr. Flagger to bring us his big old train?
It shall be called the Train to Miami.
That's way too long of a name. What did you do to my oranges?
This tastes like paradise. Give me more, sir.
That's a name for you. Mimosa.
Well, that's it. Mimosas. 'Tis only the music of nature. Ladies, I would like to propose a toast to us, the women of this land, and to Julia, and to Henry, and his big old train. I have the distinct honor of delivering you this orange tree sapling and the news of the century. Julia Tuttle has indeed convinced Henry Flagler to bring his big old train to Miami.
Well, praise be.
Amen. They have finally seen the magical wonder of this paradise on earth.
It only took years of persistence, a lot of land, and a never-ending frost. We sent this magical orange blossom. Julia never lost faith. Ladies, we have cause for celebration.
I shall send my angel vintage to Henry.
Well, I will sing my mimosas.
And I will send some invitations for a ball. Imagine the stories history will tell.